Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. We are doing a little mid-year check-in just to kind of see where I'm at with my reading goals. I'm gonna really just focus on the stats for this video. I wanted to do kind of more of a breakdown and discuss other things, but I think I'm gonna kind of separate those into other videos. I don't really have the mind capacity to do it all in one. So we're gonna have a few other videos coming out. This one's gonna be stats focused. We're gonna go through my reading journal and we're gonna go through my Fable and just kind of see where I'm at so far this year. For the other videos that are gonna come out, I'm going to do a reevaluation of my physical TBR because I've kind of been looking at it and thinking I need to take some books off of it to not give myself so much pressure of having so many. There's a handful that I've already taken off throughout the year, so I just kind of want to reevaluate everything and see what I really want to read. I also want to do kind of like a series review of all the series that I'm in the middle of, if I'm going to DNF any of them, if I'm going to continue them. I'm just going to give you the update on where I'm at with those. And then I'm also going to do a video about the second half of the year for new releases because I just saw somebody post, and I'll share their post in the in that video talking about all these new books that are coming out this year, because I will be honest, I haven't been paying attention and there are a ton of new books coming out the second half of this year that I am so excited for. I think I counted at least 20. So we have an exciting second half of the year. It's crazy to think about it because when we talked about the new releases at the end of 2025 for 2026, we really only had up until maybe July, maybe. And it was like really exciting then, but to see what's coming out now is pretty crazy. So it'll be fun. But we're gonna do stats today. So I think I was gonna start with my Fable. So I need to make sure that you got this right here so that I can screen record. Okay, so let's get this going. Where is it? Screen record. Don't judge my battery. I'm at like 50%. Okay, that's fine. We're at home. It's fine. Okay, so here's my Fable. I do have this linked down below if you want to follow me. It's kind of fun. I actually do really like this one compared to some of the other ones. I just really like the layout and the colors. I think it's really fun. So for 2026, my reader summary, which I think changes after it like compares the last 3 books that you read. So it can really depend on if you're really romance heavy. It says I'm a romance fan right now, but when I've been in my fantasy reads, it'll kind of get a little more deep into that. So it currently says, I'm a romance fan. Your reading journey is packed with thrilling romances, these daring love stories add a dash of passion to your experiences. I'll be honest, the last 7 or 8 books that I've read have all been romances. We haven't touched fantasy in a hot minute, and that's okay. As you can see, I'm at 61 books so far this year, which pretty good. My goal is 80. Obviously going to do hopefully a little bit more than that. I feel like I'm coming out of a slump. If you saw my kind of like update review video where I talked about May and June, I kind of just didn't read for like almost 2 weeks and was very confused, but you know, it doesn't matter. We're okay. We're good. We're continuing on. My best streak was 134 days. I think it's really great. I do think it's a little bit longer than that because I forgot to kind of update. I, for the longest time, was following this reading goal section. You can see it says suggested 2 books this week. I was kind of doing like, I think it was like 1,000 pages a week and 4,000 a month. But when I was in my heavy reading zone, I was actually reading that much, so I don't follow this one as much. I mostly just follow the yearly. I'm at 22. Wow, I read 22,000 pages this year. That's crazy. That is really crazy. I didn't even think about it that way. It's kind of weird. But then I have the 61 at 80 books finished. Here is the look so far. My highest month is January, and I do attest to the fact that it's cold in January and I don't go outside as often, so I just read. And you can clearly see that. 15 books in January. I think it was 10 in February, 12 in March. So we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. It says at the current pace, you're on track to meet your goal by September. So that's in a couple months. So I could reach 80 books, yeah. Which means I could almost reach 100 books this year, and that's pretty crazy in my mind. I never thought I'd be somebody who could read this much, but go me. I do love this little calendar piece here. So like January, which January doesn't look like I read for that first week. I actually did. I just didn't track. It's kind of what I was talking about, how I didn't track. But then I really like this breakdown of like, oh yeah, you read this book. So like Mistborn, it literally I read it in like 5 or 6 days because I needed that time. Oops. Oh yeah, I forgot you could do that. The game's God's Play, by the way, I really enjoyed. But I really like this little thing. And then this little calendar as well, you can kind of see when you finished a book, when you started, like the streak and everything. It's just, I think it's really cool. Reading insights, let's see, 11 books that are extra spicy, and I like that you can click on them and then you can see which ones they're talking about, and I can tell you right now, those ones are all spicy. Those ones are all spicy. Okay, most genres read, romance, it's obviously known. I do think that some of these don't categorize correctly on if, because like a thriller for a discovery of witches, I just don't. That's just like a fantasy to me. So the fact that it's in the thriller section is kind of weird. Sports is all sports. Fantasy. A Secret in the Garden, I think, is more paranormal than it is fantasy, in my opinion. But yeah, these are all old fantasy, and then we do have all the fun romances. Listen, I've read more fantasy than I've ever read in my entire life, so we get credit for that. And then, like, at the bottom, so it tells you the most authors, what am I saying? Most read authors, and like so far this year I've read 5 Elsie Silver books, so Elsie Silver's up top, Stephanie Archer 3, BK Borison 2, Fallon, Hannah Grace, Helena Hunting, Kaylee Smith, Monica Murphy, Rebecca Dunchak, Sarah Adams, and Tessa Bailey have all had 2. This makes me, when I like look at this, because those are all obviously romance except for Kaylee Smith, right? Yeah. And it makes me really want to read like the rest of the Mistborn series, the Shades of Magic series, because then those authors will get pushed up a little more too. So I really need to focus on that a little bit. Oh, this is something I need to reevaluate too. This want to read section I need to evaluate, because I really do enjoy using, at the very top, you see that little blue bird. He does, it kind of like auto generates 3 books for you to read if you're having trouble picking your next book. But if you have books on here that aren't out yet, it will like give you it and be like, oh, you should read this next. And it's like, well, it's not out. I don't own it, so I can't read it next. Okay, for reviews, I've been trying to be a little bit better at going a little more in-depth in my reviews, but sometimes I just like doing like one sentence things. Like for A False Start here, it says, if I hear the nickname Wildflower again, I'm going to scream, because that drove me crazy in that book. It almost drove me to the point of DNFing that book, but I finished it to like finish that book, finish that series, and just get it over with. And so that, I think it's just enough. Sometimes I go a little bit more in depth. But I try to do a little bit better, and I try to do the review right as I finish it. Because if I sit on it, I will maybe forget a couple things or forget a couple feelings that I had on it. And so if you really want my like honest, immediate review of a book, go to Fable and read it. I kind of decided that the whole monthly review video will not be as in-depth as it used to be, because I just don't think I'm good at it. Like, I honestly shouldn't compare myself to other booktubers out there that do more in-depth, but I just don't know if my brain just doesn't comprehend at the same rate that they do. And so like kind of if I just kind of was like, oh, the book was okay, like 3.5 stars, my brain will just kind of forget about it. And having to like do a sit down talk a month later is not the most ideal. So we just kind of do the easy. Yeah, I liked it. If you want to read it, read it. If you don't, it's not my opinion to give. Like, it's your choice what you want to read. I do actually like doing the post every now and then. Again, I'm not great at it. Great at it. I try to be a little more active on this. I think it's a good, nice little platform. And it's the only one I use. I don't use Goodreads or Storygraph or the other ones. I don't have the capacity to. I just use the one. So, sorry. Okay, so with the Fable complete, we're going to move into our reading journal here. I am going to get the camera all set up because it's some sort of rig that I got to do. So, we'll be in the journal in the next shot. Alrighty, here we are with the reading journal. I do really love this. There are some things I wish I didn't do, some things I wish I did do, but all in all, it has been a joy to update this. I usually update it at the end of every month, so let's get into it. So we do have our first page still. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this, but I do love my little glitter stickers. I think they're fun. Obviously the bleed through is there, but that's okay. We're not getting upset about it. But look at this. Look at how cute this is, and all the little color codes are cute. This is the first book of July that I've read, and I have another one that I need to add, but I usually write them down as they go, and then I wait a little bit to color them in just because I want to make sure it dries and doesn't bleed when I do the coloring. But look how fun this is, and all of my 5 stars that I've had. Like, are you kidding me? This is so fun. I honestly think that this is a lot more fun to track than Fable. I know that's kind of weird to say because I do love like the Fable tracking, but like seeing this and doing all the coloring, it makes me want to make like a bigger one, like on a poster board, and have that be like in a picture frame above one of my shorter bookcases, so that I can just like fill it in as the year goes by, because I think that would be really fun. But yeah, this has been probably my favorite part about the whole thing, and I love it. Okay, so then we have the monthly favorites. So far, January, it was If It Makes You Happy. February, Mistborn. March was Rose in Chains. April, No Matter What. Red City for May, and The Enemy for June. This has been fun too, to kind of see this and just see what's going on. Obviously having some fantasies in here has been really great, and it's just kind of fun to see in general. For yearly goals, we haven't done much. I started reading Brandon Sanderson, obviously. That happened in February. Wasn't expecting it to happen that soon, but we got it in. Finished monthly prompts. I did finish January through May. June I did not. And July I'm not doing any prompts. I'm just kind of reading what I want. Read 80 books. Obviously I'm at 61 now, so we're doing pretty good on that. Read 2 classics. I haven't felt the want to read something older. I do have a handful of books upstairs that I could pick from. I think it was going to be like The Scarlet Letter or Frankenstein or A Picture of Dorian Gray. Those were kind of like my top 3 picks. I just haven't reached for one yet. And then physical TBR down to 50 books. I don't know if that's gonna happen, and that's okay. That's why I kind of want to really reevaluate my physical TBR, just to see like, hey, let's get this down a little bit. Okay, here's my monthly list so far. I haven't colored in June, and I don't think I've updated this side yet for June yet, so I am a little bit behind. But you can see clearly romance took the front. We had 1 thriller, a couple of romantasy and fantasies, but I actually really enjoyed seeing this side kind of pushed out, and I tried to do colors that related to the month. So like January for me, super cold, so we did an icy blue. Pink for February, green for March. April was yellow, May was purple. I just kind of really like seeing this come together. And it's kind of fun when it started as like a black and white, and now having color added to it was kind of a nice touch that I might even not color these in. I just kind of like to see the juxtaposition of the flat black and white to then adding some bright colors to it. All right, 26 for 2026. We are making a really good progress on. I think I have 10 left. Yeah, 10. And I have the rest of the year to get these 10 in. In my last video about the mid-year tag, where I talked about the books that I want to read by the end of the year, I obviously have these 10 books, and then I think I had 14 other books on that list as well. So 24 books total that I need to get by the end of the year. I think we can do it. We're doing really good on this. I really love that we've gotten this far. I love that. So this bottom row was all new releases for 2026, and I've gotten all those completed and just everything else. And it's really starting to look really cool. And I love the little printer. Whoever I got that from, I think I got that from Ellen Reed's. And I just really like doing this aspect. It's fun. Bucket list. She's, I think, halfway done. I'm gonna have to really start to push myself to get a little further into these, especially some of these brands, especially like this, a horror book. This is going to be an interesting read if I try to finish one. So the like horror and thriller books that I have on my TBR, I don't normally like reach for them, so I think they're gonna come off, and then I'm going to eventually just pick off one and kind of read it instead of just having it sit there on my physical TBR because I'm a little scaredy cat. So it's kind of like a we'll see situation. But I also try to do one book for each square. So like technically I have a male author and I've read Brandon Sanderson. So you're like, well, why didn't you fill that in? I had this box up here that says Chris chooses the book that I read, and he picked The Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, so that one got the colored in one, not this one. So very much trying to keep it kind of cohesive and singular so that the amount of options I have to have one book for each one instead of multiple. And then I also try to do the color that like the book is to fill in the square. So, I mean, obviously the bottom row, it's a yellow book, it's gonna get a yellow color, green gets green, pink got pink. But like Mistborn was this one, so it got red. The reread was Wildcat by Rebecca Genshak, and that is a blue cover. Finish a series. I finished the Gold Rush Ranch series by Elsie Silver, and I kind of did brown as like a cowboy kind of color. 5-star read, got the color that my 5 stars get in here. And yeah, just kind of trying to match it to the book that I read to kind of give it a little bit more meaning, a little bit more color behind it. Okay, next. This one has been interesting because it is my physical TBR list that I started with in January. And it has some like added ones in it, I know for sure. And I've gotten through a handful, but it also doesn't look like I've gotten through a lot, which it's kind of weird to think about. I've kind of not really cared about this page because I was supposed to continue writing like, so I finished Twisted Love, so Twisted Games should have been written next kind of thing, but I just never continued that, and I kind of haven't really cared for it. So I've kind of not really done this page. We then go into the reading log. I do have every book that I've read so far written here, and then we have a handful of extra pages. Hopefully that'll be enough for the rest of the year. And it's looking good. I first started to do actual stars, so like this is a 2.5. And then I obviously changed to writing it. And I haven't filled out the genre section. I was going to do like a little key on the side here that had like a color code of like, oh, this pink means romance, red means fantasy, kind of like what this is. But I don't know, I kind of didn't really like it, and I needed more space for some of these. So I think if I do this again next year, I'm probably just going to take that section out. We then have a series tracker. I did not give myself enough space for the tracker, and I actually moved to a Notion template for the series tracking, so this has just kind of been untouched, and that's okay. Rereads, I haven't done anything for it yet. I don't know if I'm going to do pictures, because I've actually reread 3 books this year, I think, so who knows. And then we have my DNF graveyard. I need to add a 5th book here. I don't have my pen with me, but we've DNF'd 5 books this year. And I'm actually pretty proud of myself for that because I usually don't. DNF book. So the fact that I have is good. Okay, now for the fun part. The tracking. The monthly tracking. We have January here. Clearly, I read a lot. I literally got to the bottom of the page, which I thought was kind of crazy. And then we have what the prompts page has kind of turned out to be. Clearly, I had my it's 5 prompts. I read them all, and then everything extra that I read at the beginning of the year. It all looks so cool. I've tried to decide if I want to put like the star rating underneath them, but I think between this and this and this, that I didn't want to add anything extra, so I kind of just like them being by themselves. And then it gets a little interesting, obviously, like when I get further into the months as it goes down. But there's February, we know our hearts. February's looking all full there. March is looking good. April, we had a handful for April, which was a good month. May, which was a little bit lower, that's okay. And this is where it kind of it kind of gets a little different, because like clearly I started switching up my reads, where I started adding a pick for my 2026, my 26 for my 2026. And so I wanted to like note that I read this book because it was on my list. And I might do something where in like my past months where I'll add like this was on my 2026, this one was, these two were, and I might just kind of add a little note like, oh, those were also on that list, just to kind of show for future pieces that, hey, I did it, I read it. And then June, we don't talk about this page. But I kind of want to keep it just because of how bad it was. It just kind of makes me laugh. And then June, this is kind of how it ended up. I did these all here, so it's book 2, 3, and 4 for this series, all complete. And then just the other 3 books that I picked. Don't know if I want to add anything. I'm not feeling in the creative mood to do anything. I kind of just like the simplicity of it, if I'm being honest. And then July, obviously, I haven't completed yet because it is July, but I like my little disco balls. They're kind of fun. And just to review what else I have, August has this really cool treescape that I made. September is one of my favorites with this like hexagon bee style. October is pretty dope, I gotta admit that. November looks kind of cool. And then December, probably my favorite is my little gnome guy dragging his lights. But that is pretty much it for the update on the journal. Not really much other than just filling it out. Like I said, I think the one thing I just need to take out is the series tracker. I think I might just end up taking out these 2 little pages just to make it a little bit more easier, because it does tend to get a little full. So I don't want it to be like kind of over expanding when it's closed. I just don't like that personally. But otherwise, that's that. Okay, so with that reading journal walkthrough, that completes today's video. If you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around. I truly do appreciate it. I know I'm not the greatest at this, but we just like to try and have fun here. If you'd like to, you can subscribe, like, or comment. If you don't know what to comment, let me know how your mid-year reading journey is looking, and maybe we can compare some notes or hype each other up for the rest of the year, because we're gonna do it. We're gonna crush all our goals this year. And with all that said, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.